sister sitting store what I'm about to preach on. Damn, sister, close the door. Watch what you step out on. I said, hey, sister, so before you become a sin, I said, hey, sister, there is more, even if you think there isn't. When you live your life day to day, there will always be obstacles in your way. But don't let that get you down, girl.
Hello, everyone. We are so happy to be back here. And today I got my sister from another mister. What's up, Elle?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good. Happy to be here. And oh my goodness, every time I see this video, I'm like, yeah.
Right? You jam like you never heard that song before, right?
Yes.
Yes. It gets
soulful.
in your bones. Yes.
Oh my goodness. I love it.
Yes.
Oh, and my cheeks are already hurting from smiling.
Honestly, it's a very good way to start a day. You know what I mean? Like, it just makes you beam. It really does. Yeah.
And I was just gonna say, like, you use that filter with everything that you do. It's like, if you're smiling, you're feeling good, right? So you're not gonna let the little things get to you.
Right, yeah, it's like, oh, wait a minute, did that bad thing just happen? Oh,
It's fine.
Oh my gosh. And I have to say thank you for introducing me to the StreamYard platform that we're using. I do.
No problem. Yeah, it's quite good, isn't it?
It is. Do you remember how this happened? Do you remember?
Oh, what? Yeah, we were starting the HERstory interview segments on like the Thursdays at 7 p.m.
Yes.
And we were so grateful because I was one of the interviewers at the time. Yeah. And you were the first person I was interviewing. And we were having all these different issues with Zoom. And we're like, you know what? There is this thing that I've used before. I've seen other coaches use as well called StreamYard. So let's try that out. And we were like, oh man, thank goodness it was just the two of us. Because if it was somebody else, it would be like so awkward and like,
I know, right? Such a headache. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And honestly, I think the funniest thing to me about that whole situation is that we had that week before where we checked all the boxes, right? We tested it out. We were so confident like that day that we came on, and it just would not work.
It wasn't working. Oh my, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yes.
Funny how it works like that.
Yeah, and then StreamYard was so seamless. Like, it literally took us 5 minutes, and then we were on. But it was so funny to me because we had gone through all the steps, all the process. We did everything we could possibly do on our end. And then this thing was just like, nope, not today.
Not today. Exactly. And I like how, exactly. And I like how, with StreamYard, you can have, your background. You can have, the little running strip at the bottom. It's lovely.
Yeah. I mean, anyways, we're done giving them free advertising because they ain't giving us no commissions for this conversation.
You said it.
But yes, girl, I am so happy to be here chatting with you and letting everybody else just peep into our conversation,
Honestly, they are so funny. We are cracking up. It's always a good time. Always a good time.
So true. So, my dear, I know bits about you, and I'm always learning more about you. So I want you to tell everybody else about you, and I'm just going to eavesdrop.
That's fine. Hello, everyone. My name is Elle. Though that is just a nickname. My full name is Janelle. And I live in Toronto. I enjoy going on walks, especially in the sunshine. Like, the sunshine is my everything. When it is nice and bright outside, oh, like, it's gonna be a good day. And I love to dance. I really love dancing. But aside from that, I am a mindset coach for millennial women who are ready to, or whoever is ready to overcome people pleasing and self-doubt, because all women deserve to live a bold and liberated life. And the reason why, like, I started off by talking about like just who I am is because I feel like we tend to identify just solely by what we do.
Yes.
You know, and not like who we are. Yes. Even though I talked about all the things that I do, but even with that, now it's like, oh yeah, so I can imagine Elle like walking, you know, in the neighborhood. I can imagine her like busting a move, because I love to do that. That's my favorite thing. But yeah, that is who I am. That is who I am.
Yeah, that's such a good point, though. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say a little like backstory. So Janelle is my full first name, but when I was growing up, people would always misspell it or mispronounce it and call me like Junielle or call me Janelle. And so I despise that so much and got tired of correcting people all the time. So I kind of reclaimed it by nicknaming myself Elle. So like that's kind of like a backstory into my name.
I like that. I'm gonna pull on that again when we get to chatting for sure. I think so many of the things you talked about in terms of how we define ourselves and how we introduce ourselves, you know, in some ways it's kind of, well, society expects this answer, you know, what do we ask children? What do you want to be when you grow up? Not what do you want to do when you grow up, you know? And I've found that to be very interesting. And I've started asking children the question differently, you know, who do you want to be and what do you want to do? There's two separate questions that I ask them. And even in my bio starts off, Nadia is deeply empathetic. That's who I am. Then it'll go on to talking about stuff that I do, you know, and you're so right, especially as women wearing multiple hats, we tend to define ourselves by all of those roles we play in everybody else's life. I know.
Oh, you just spoke to my soul right there. Continue. Yeah. Please continue. Yeah.
But it's so true, right? Because that's what I am a mom. I am a wife. I am a student. I am a professional, whatever. You know what I mean? Like all of these other roles that we play in everyone else's life. And it's their definition of us that we take on, you know? But before all of these things.
Who is asking who is Nadia?
Exactly. And so if Nadia isn't asking that question, guess who gets the answer? No one, you know? And so I love what you're doing in terms of that, you know, people pleasing and really arresting that mentality of, okay, why do we feel the need to reformat ourselves for everybody else's pleasure, you know? And it's strange because it's not about being egotistical and self-centered, but it is about saying, well, I can't give to you unless I know who I am and why I'm here. You know, so if I'm going to maximize my contribution outward, I need to have that conversation first.
But we're taught the opposite way. That, you know, like you mentioned, when you do all these other roles and you do them well, then you're good enough. Right? Like, forget about you. Forget about what you need or what you want to do. Once you are doing this thing for me, we're fine.
Yeah.
And the issue with that is, if that person is so busy looking out for themselves and you're so busy looking out for that person, who's looking out
for you? That's right. That's right.
Who's looking out for you?
Yeah.
You know, we're told that we need to fill up our cup just enough so that we can lift up that cup and start pouring it into other people's cup. And like, or that's like the interpretation that I have in my mind. So I've rejigged it so that you are always filling up your cup and you are continuing to fill it, where even when there is excess, like the excess is what you are giving other people. Like you never have to sacrifice your well-being and what you need to help other people. As a matter of fact, when you are operating at your best, you are then going to be your best for everybody else.
That's true. It's true. Yeah.
Right?
And it's more like a fountain than a finite source of water. You know, like if we are the jug of water, then all we have to give is what we have. And that actually ends up creating that layer of selfishness, because now we need to protect what we have. And now we need to withhold what we have to hoard what's left. But when we are connected and aligned, and that source is external to ourselves and within us and all together, then that is coming in and flowing out. You know, I love that imagery. Oh my gosh. I might pull back to that imagery again too. There's so much you said there. Now, millennials get a bad rap.
We do. Gosh.
So talk to us. I'm not sure. I'm like on the border, you know. And I never really, to be honest, I never grew up my age. I was just always older, not purposely. I just was. And all my friends were always older, and I always dated older. And I you know, that was just what it was. So I don't even know, even if I were to be counted like, you know, by my birth date as a millennial, I don't know if mentally I would say that I am, because I've never fit into my age group ever before. So that would be a first. So tell us, what is it, you know, what's it like growing up as a millennial and hearing all of these things about all of what millennials don't do?
So it's funny that you say, you know, you are like older beyond your years, because I feel like the reason why millennials get a bad rap is because we are here saying we don't want to do things the old-fashioned way, the traditional way. It doesn't work for us. And we believe that there is more. And so we are going to look for it. Some people want to call that entitlement. Some people want to call that selfishness. But, you know, when you also take into account the shift in the workforce, where, you know, boomers and the generation right after them are used to seeing pensions. Like we as millennials, a pension what? That is non-existent, right? So we're now like trying to get more creative, and you know, here we now are creating jobs that didn't exist 10 years ago.
That's right.
You know, like we are constantly like paving the way and being, you know, like pioneers for ourselves, because we're thinking, you know, like the system that, I mean, is a very like archaic system isn't going to work for us, right? And it's proving that. So I think that, and like, to be fair too, like you always have like different sets within the same generation,
right?
Because you know, like you'll look at someone who is my age and they are like just doing something completely different from what like I'm doing or what you're doing, right? But I also do want to say that generally speaking, I think that we are wiser, because you know, even the simple thing of like understanding like our trauma, like our parents' generation is still thinking that like therapy is for, you know, like the rich or for like the privileged, right? Whereas we're like, oh no, it's actually
everybody needs
everybody needs therapy.
Yeah.
Children could benefit from therapy.
Yeah.
There's so much that I'm constantly unlearning and learning, and teaching my parents as a result of that. And so I think it's like the traditional way of like don't talk back, like just do what you're told and just deal with it. Again, just not working for us. We're like, no, there is more to life than this.
Yeah.
And
I have
we
something
want to
that
be
needs
happy.
to be said. Yeah.
So I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion.
Yes.
I'm sure people have other opinions though.
Yeah. No, I like that. And in my work promoting social entrepreneurship, one of the things that we have to look at is the changing trends in donor behavior. And one of the big things that I'm constantly sharing with our nonprofit leaders, so leaders out there, if you're listening, this trend is not new. This is a shift that we've been seeing for a long time, but very few of our nonprofits are prepared for it. So the older generation is accustomed to giving donations. They've taken it on as a responsibility. But that older generation, that pattern of behavior is shifting. Millennials will prefer to make a purchase of something that's of high quality, that will last them a long time, knowing that it will also do good in the world. So there's this drive towards social entrepreneurship away from pure charity. There's a lot of holding charitable organizations accountable, demanding transparency. The voice of the millennial is stronger because the millennial is more aware of that voice, and that you are allowed to meet demands. 2008 came and we saw the global economy take a big, drop. And then we saw Occupy Wall Street and all. I was living in New York during Occupy Wall Street, and I would just kind of walk by, see all the tents out there, just kind of peer in. And, there was no Martin Luther King, right? There was no voice of the movement. So we had no real idea what the demands were, what they were protesting against exactly while it was going on. And so all of this fanfare is happening. And what you started to realize is that the consumer started to understand their role in supply and demand. And so the millennial consumer grows up with this empowered voice in the supply and demand conversation, and that's something that we've been missing, is how millennials are driving change.
Yeah, because we've witnessed a lot too, right? Like seeing how our parents lost jobs, had to go through foreclosures during the 2008 crisis. It was like, oh no, the way that things are working for y'all isn't actually helpful to you. As millennials now, it is really hard for us to make a purchase without knowing the brand. We're doing reviews. Like, do you vouch for this person? Do you vouch for this person? Because if not, I don't trust it.
It's true.
I've been scammed before. I've seen my parents be scammed before. It's not gonna happen again. So yeah, when you're mindful of that, then you take a different approach. And I think it's so beautiful, especially when you think about like transparency, because when you are transparent, like that brings out, like a kind of authenticity where like what do you have to hide? Why would you hide? Like there might be something that you can learn now that you are open and you are getting feedback. Instead of just like shoving it under the rug and hoping that no one will figure out like all of the like loose ends.
Just pretend it never happens,
Yeah. Like that just, again, it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
We know that.
I have a partner. So I'm going to give a shout out to a guy. I know this is our ladies platform, but Oliver Levy at Mindful Parenting Toolkit. And these are some of the things that we talk to mompreneurs and dadpreneurs about. Just understanding that the world that we grew up in no longer exists. And so we are trying to raise children with a world that we understand that no longer exists. That's his line. I stole that from him. And they're growing up in a completely different circumstance. And unless we are willing to understand what their reality is, there's it's like two different languages being spoken, and so it's so key. So to all of us visionary women out here running around and whatnot, let's make sure that our young women feel supported here, and feel that, because we are now coming back talking about, oh, wait a minute, my voice was silenced. So then what is our responsibility to create space? Oh, he's watching. It's a good thing I mentioned his name, right? Because then it'd be like, hey, it's been copyright infringement, right? Oh my gosh. But yes. So we have to make sure that we are connecting across the generations. So now that we have come to this point where, now you can say, this is who I am, this is what I love to do, and this is what I do, how I show up to serve my clients and whatnot. There had to be a process for you to get here, a process for you to get where you are. And I'm sure for all of us, there's still a process for where we're going. What is the importance of vision in that process of, coming from where you are to here, going from where you are now to where you want to be?
Intention. Intention is key. We are living in a society that has a lot of distractions. And so when you have that vision, you are able to say, like I have my blinders on and I know where I'm going. Yes. And I am doing what is necessary for me to get there. And especially for the days where you forget or, you feel discouraged. Sometimes there are moments where someone will tell my vision back to me and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it was. But even then, if I didn't have the vision in the first place, that
couldn't connect.
It wouldn't connect. It would have fallen on deaf ears. So to have that vision is to have a mission, to say this is what I'm about. And from there, you start moving towards it, right? Because now you're thinking, okay, so I wanna own a home, for example. And I want to own a home, say if you put a time on that goal by 2025. Okay, what do I need to do now to get that? Okay, so frivolous spending, less so now. You wouldn't have done that before had you not had that vision of where you wanted to go.
That's right.
So I think that it's important to just have that North Star to say, you know what, I might or I will go back and forth because it is life and we are human beings. Yeah, but the point is that life happens.
Yeah.
But even when life happens, I know where I'm going. I still have a good compass there.
Yes.
Yes.
So true. So true. Now, with all of this chat about what millennials should be doing and shouldn't be doing, and who millennials could be and would be if they would just fall in line with, old patterns of thinking and doing things and whatnot. I know, right? That gives you the heebie-jeebies, right? But has there ever been a time when you personally felt that silencing and that diminishing, whether it was because of your youth, because of your gender, because of any other factor that has been called out? Have you ever experienced your voice diminished or silenced, or an attempt to diminish or silence your voice?
Not directly, interestingly enough, but I found that there were little things, especially growing up, that made me feel like to speak up was to put myself in danger. So, I am a person of color, right? I am Black and I am a woman. And I was taught that those were actually two strikes against me in this world that we live in, right? Yeah. And that that is less of the reality now, but is still very much interwoven in our society today. And so, like, with that, like, bubbling around in my head, there are a lot of times, you know, especially like growing up in a predominantly white and Asian school, I was thinking, oh, I have to be careful. I have to be careful with what I say, with what I do. I want to be like the prim proper, like one. I'm representing. Felt like I was representing all of the Black girls in the world, all of the Black people in the world by being, you know, the one person who was Black, who was a girl in school. And so, like, it was in fear of me stepping out of line that I made sure like that was never an issue. So with that, I was silenced, you know, or even, you know, like in a Caribbean household, you know, it's like you don't talk back if you know better. and even then it was like anger. Like, I don't get angry. I instead suppress my feelings, and that again is silencing, because it's unhealthy for me to keep it in. And it has really been over, honestly, Nadia, like the past 2-3 years that I've actually felt comfortable speaking up. And even then, it's like, is this the right thing to do?
Because now you're going against everything that you were taught and that you learned and you knew to be true, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
So
that's huge.
Yeah. So, like, rewriting that script and that narrative is really important.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about rewriting the narrative. Let's talk about taking control of the version of the story that you choose to be told about your life.
So, like, the thing of it is that, like, consciously we will know to speak up, we will know to stand up for ourselves, but it's like that iceberg, you know, like that's only the tip of the iceberg. Down below, we have a mound that we need to work through, right? That subconscious is coming up with the, you're not worthy of speaking up, you're not good enough, who do you think you are? You need to do this to make others happy because that's how you're accepted. You're not loved unconditionally. What are you talking about? So we have all of those narratives playing on a regular basis. And, you know, when you're able to acknowledge that those voices aren't your own, you then are able to take control and say, this is not helpful for the bold and free person that I know I can be.
Yes.
And so when you know, kind of like do a little bit of alchemy on those thoughts and you rewrite them, you take back, you reclaim that power.
Yes.
So absolutely. It takes time. It takes time, right? Like, this is a journey that I've been on for a few years already, but even now there are things that keep coming up. Like, it'll be the same narrative, the same story. Like, I recognize in myself that my two main stories are always I'm not good enough, or I don't know enough, or some kind of inadequacy, or it's what will they think, which is funny because this is what I coach on because I go through it myself.
Yes.
And so, you know, on a regular basis, there's times when I'm like, I thought I dealt with this already, but there's another way that it comes up, another form in which it shows up, and it's another opportunity to rewrite the narrative so that it is conducive to your health and your well-being.
Yes.
So
and that's why you're equipped. Like, you are equipped to coach on it, because not only are you experiencing it, but you're, like you said, you're acknowledging, you're taking the steps, and you're analyzing it enough to be able then to give those steps to someone else. And I mean, would you follow a basketball coach who's never picked up a basketball? You know, like, you want to know that your coach has been through it, you know, has dealt with it, is dealing with it, continues to master that space, you know, and that is the thing that really makes you so formidable in this space, and keep going.
But what's interesting about that, though? Thank you, I appreciate that. But what's interesting is even then, those thoughts find a way to make the fact that I am equipped hold me back, or feel like I'm not good enough, because I'm like, oh, I should have been farther along already. And what will they think if they see that I'm still struggling with this? They won't trust in me. So like don't be surprised, you know, if there are thoughts that like keep coming up that you think you already solved. Or it's like that same thought that actually is like the reason why you do what you do in a good way, also find a way to have a negative effect on you as well.
The counterbalance.
Exactly.
And that's, to me, that's why the imagery that you spoke of before, in terms of, you know, giving of the excess, you know, allowing ourselves to constantly be filled so that we have more than enough to give, but we remain filled. So we're not emptying out and refilling and emptying out and refilling, but we are, you know, staying filled as much as we can. That's why, to me, that is so key, because while that's happening, that water is turning on the inside. Which means the things that were high will be low, the things that were low will be high, and it's cycling. You know, there is still old water there while new water is coming in, you know, and so there's constant process, constant movements, constant change and flux that's happening, but we remain the same jug, right? And we're still in service in the outpour, and we're still learning and growing and seeking in the inpour, and all of that flux is still happening, you know. So it's not about being like arriving and being stagnant, you know. So I love that you're vulnerable enough to be able to say, okay, well, this is my water churning moment, you know.
Oh, I love really that. Didn't even think about it like that. See, like always learning from you. Amazing.
Every time we chat, it's just this.
Just so insightful. It's incredible.
So we've played with that imagery a lot in our conversation today. But when the word victory, how does that? You know, I just realized that victory and HERstory end with the same 4 letters. Literally, as I'm talking to you, it just struck me. Yes. But that word, what imagery does that word bring to your mind?
Victory. I think of imagery though. I think of reclamation. Like that's just the main thing that's coming to my mind. Like for example, like the story that I mentioned earlier about my name, you know, like I still very much love Janelle, right? My full name, but I've also like reclaimed it by saying like it is the people who know me well or who I want to confide in who will call me Janelle. Right. And it's like protected in that way. But at the same time, because Junielle was also a name that people called me, like I reclaimed that piece, like I reclaimed the Elle piece, you know, and I love it. And so, you know, it's like taking back what is yours, but not in like oh, give me, but like a thank you.
Yes.
However,
this with some grace. With some grace.
And lots of respect. And I also envision a lot of people, community, and recognizing that you are not meant to go about it alone. You know, that it took me such a long time to accept that, because as a people pleaser, I honestly, honest to goodness, I think people pleasers are one of the strongest people, because there's a point where they say, I'm going to be everything for everyone else and I'm going to handle it. Right? So like they take on so much. But I had to let that go to let people in, because with me doing that, I was like you know, cutting myself off from the goodness every much as I was cutting myself off from like the bad, you know. But I had to open up and say, you know, I want guidance, I want some assistance, I want support. Recognizing that even when the bad comes in, so those are maybe like toxic people or people who like, you know, don't respect your boundaries, to be able to feel comfortable enough to speak up for yourself, advocate for yourself, and say, I'm sorry, but no, this behavior does not belong here. So that you can stay open for your people, the people who do respect you, the people who see you for exactly who you are. You know?
Yeah, that is so much power in there, girl. I mean, the idea that we try, one thing I had to learn to bounce off of that was that self-sacrificial love is not the only love that exists. And I don't have to live in self-sacrificial love for every situation and for every human being, you know? And that is so key to what you're saying, that, you know, we will easily lay ourselves down and forsake everything that we need, want, desire for the sake of the other. And while we're doing that, then we're not free to receive any of the things that are for us. And then when it's time for the gift to be given, we're like, who, me? I'm not worthy of that. I'm the rug. Yeah.
You're the rug. You're the rug. Not the beautiful vase or the or statue, just the rug. So who am I to get that?
Yes.
Like, no, we got to rewrite that narrative, honey.
That's right. That's right. And that's right. So that we can actually receive all the goodness that already has our name on it. You know, you touched on the word entitled, and that is a word that's often used to describe millennials, but I've reclaimed that word. You know, I am entitled. My name is written on it. That's what entitled means. I hold the title deed, right? I am entitled to my success. I am entitled to be respected. I am entitled to be cherished, to be nurtured and loved. My name is on it. It's already mine, you know? And that is like, just, girl, I love what you do, and I love how you reach out. Yeah. I love how you reach out and how you connect authentically. And I'm so grateful and thankful that you said yes to connecting with our visionary women. So I want to make sure everybody knows you can join Elle every month. We've already met Sumaya, and you can join Elle every month for one of our masterminds in our HERstory membership. All right. And Elle is bringing this perspective every single month to you. We're talking about vision, voice, version, and victory, but from that perspective of, okay, what's our vision as young women, young at heart women who who recognize that we've lived so many years just defined by everybody else's requirements of us and requests of us, you know? And how do we find our voice? How do we, you know, rewrite that narrative and decide on the version of our story to be told? And how do we live and walk in that victory coming from that perspective? So thank you. Thank you so much for saying yes to that.
Absolutely. Like, I'm excited because, you know, again, like, we define ourselves based off of how we can give to other people, and we forget or don't even realize that, you know, like, we are worthy of having whatever it is that we want. You know, like there's like an analogy like working in my head right now. I'm trying to figure out how it's coming to fruition. It's like we've been, okay, Nadia, kind of help me with this. It's as if we have given so much of our we were like this beautiful like fertile land, for example, and we were giving all of ourselves to like other lands over the distance, and now we've become like a desert. But instead now we're like you know
yes, no, it's true.
But we're like we're fertilizing the soil, because again, when you are in good shape, everything that you touch will be gold.
Yes.
You know, so like let's go back to the basics.
Yes.
Who are you?
Yes.
You know, like let's get in touch with that first.
Yes. And the thing about being in that phase that, you know, I used to be green and flory, you know, all the fauna and flora and all of that, and rivers running, and now it's desert land. There's a lot of work that has to happen. And that's the thing that we must realize as we embark on this journey. This is work.
Yes,
these internal conversations, this is work, sisters, right? And not only is it work, but we need, as you mentioned before, community. Because now we have to adapt. Now you can't do what you used to be able to do in green grass time in desert time. It doesn't work the same way. So rain used to come from the sky in green grass time, and now you got to drill for water in desert time, you know? Yeah.
I knew you would help me out with this analogy. Exactly.
Yes. It's
mental work. Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely.
And in this process, you know, we need that community so very much. So make sure that you go and register to be a part of our membership program. It's 5 masterminds every single month. I mean, literally 5 amazing women, if I do say so myself, from across the globe coming to you, making sure that you are equipped, that you are supported. You know, we have breakout sessions, Q&As, just everything that you need to make sure that the information you get takes real root, you know, really grounded. Have those accountability partners. Yes, nurturing all of it. It's a real community here that we are working to create and to sustain. And throughout this year, everything that we do is, you know, going to benefit our nonprofit partner, the Beautiful Foundation. And the work that they do over there at the Beautiful Foundation is so amazing. Not because I love nonprofits and I think all nonprofits are generally amazing, but because this team that I've had the chance to meet and the women that they serve, you know, it's all about the authenticity of the connection point. You know, I'm hearing women say things like, I'm really grateful to have had my social worker, but when I walked into the room, you know, the people from the Beautiful Foundation, they weren't showing off to check boxes. And they weren't showing off to just complete a task list. They were here for me. And I didn't know what to do with that. What does it mean to have community, to have support, to be loved while I'm in this homeless shelter, while I'm struggling with substance abuse, while I am like completely engulfed by the trauma of physical abuse, mental abuse, psychological abuse, all different layers of abuse that I have suffered in my own life. These people are showing up for me. And then they're calling me beautiful on top of all of that. And they're telling me that I'm worthy of this love, that they're here giving freely, requesting nothing in return. You know, these are the amazing people at the Beautiful Foundation showing up every day and saying, hey, sister, I see you. I see you. I don't just see you as a mommy, you know, and I don't just see you as your struggle. And I don't just see you as your circumstance. I see who you are despite all of those things. I see who you are because those things have strengthened you and equipped you to be all that you want to be. And now I'm talking to women who would say, yes, I've been sober for 3 years, and my purpose is to be that light for the other woman who hasn't found her way here yet. So now they're talking about their responsibility to go back and contribute, you know? And it's about this circle of empowerment that completely demolishes the cycles of poverty, the cycles of abuse, the cycles that these women have been living through before. It's like a whole new cycle on top of that one that just swallows it up and says, nope, no more. That's not it anymore. You know, we're not living and guided by the fear anymore. We're not living and guided by the worry anymore. We're not living and guided by the addiction anymore. You're living based on the fact that you are a beautiful human spirit who deserves every good thing to which she is entitled. How could we not partner with them? You know what I mean? Like, how could we not come alongside that work? So if you want to support that work, there are lots of ways you can do that. Like I said, everything we do for this year, we are making sure that we put our money where our mouths are and, you know, put our hands to doing that work and supporting them. We have a really cool event coming up in April. It's called Hey Sister, Let's Color. And we'll be working with Sophia Soj Jackson, that beautiful voice that we jam out to, you know, in our video. That's the voice of the amazing Sophia Soj Jackson, who is this multi-talented, multi-passionate woman who's been able to bring to us conversations on mental health and financial health and wellness, all in one conversation, to say that it's okay to think and talk about money. And actually, we need to do it because this is a mental health conversation that we need to be having. All right. And so let's make sure that you come on out to that event, get yourself a me gift. All right. You know, treat yourself a little bit. You'll get one of the copy of Soulful color in your gift. And lots of other things are in there, curated by our partner, Divine Executive Concierge, Inc. You are going to love everything that you get in those packages. So make sure that you register. Our Eventbrite link will be here, as well as links to how to find Elle, so you can go deeper with Elle, and how to register for the masterminds, because Elle has this amazing way of just like this sweetness, you know, that I'm just going to show off on this just this sweetness about her, you know, just this ability to show up with that smile, you know, that just kind of calms you and says, you know, everything is okay, Nadia, you know. And I really appreciate that about you, Elle, and I appreciate every time we get a chance to chat and to share with one another. I always feel like I grow just an inch or two, you know, after talking to you.
Likewise, I feel the exact same way, truthfully.
Yes. Yeah, that's the sisterhood, man. And Elle, you were with the very first HERstory.
I was, yes. I was. I can't believe it's been a year already.
Yeah, even before that, long before that, in 2018, in a very different capacity. Do you remember?
Yes, the model.
Yes, you were a model at our very first HERstory event, and we were so excited. We had Palmonia on day 2. She was our featured speaker then, and I mean, life then brought us back full circle, Elle, you know, last year, and then here we are. Yeah,
that's incredible. Oh my goodness. Yes. So grateful.
Well, any parting words for everyone watching before we hop off?
Oh, that you are loved, that you are supported, that you are worthy simply because you don't have to earn it, you don't have to prove it, you just are. And don't let anyone else tell you different.
Yes, absolutely. Well, my sisters, thank you. We got some brothers who've been on with us. hailing us on today. So thank you guys for coming out and for supporting the ladies all month long. It is our month. I mean, technically it's our year, but Elle, we'll say bye to everyone. And
take care, everyone.
See you back here tomorrow at noon. Bye.
Hey, sister, sitting store, what am I about to preach on? Damn, sister, close the door. Watch what you step out on. I said, hey, sister, so before you become a sin, I said, hey, sister, there is more, even if you think there isn't. When you live your life day to day, there will always be obstacles in your way.